Hello everyone, welcome back to the Smoking Guns podcast. Today we have episode 3. Once again, I'm Andy.
I'm Fatih.
I'm Harry.
And now today we have Annabelle with us. She's our first guest on the podcast. Hopefully we're trying to bring more artists from different backgrounds who have different life stories and have a few more guests into the podcast. Annabelle is our first guest, and today's podcast is going to be looking at the difference between drama school, university, and her journey into becoming a working actress, and what it means to have an agent in the industry and to look for parts yourself.
Cool.
That's a little bit different than what we usually do. So first of all, there's a big difference between people who create their own work and do device theater, and then actors who look for their own parts. How would you approach looking for a part?
So, I mean, there's loads of different ways you can go about this, but you mentioned having an agent. So that's kind of like a well-known thing to have in the industry is an agent who puts you up for auditions. So they have the contacts. They have like the golden book of contacts that they can, build relationships with, meet, and then say, oh, I have a client who I think would be really good for that role. Will you see them? And if they say yes, then you get an audition from it. That's how it normally works with an agent. So I was lucky enough when I graduated to sign with an agent, and for the last 2 years, which is how long I've been graduated. Yeah, does that make sense?
2 years?
Yeah.
The last two, yeah.
Yeah, in the last 2 years, I've that's how I get most of my auditions. But obviously, we were always taught at drama school to make contact yourself with casting directors, people that you want to work with. Don't just sit and wait for your agent to call and say you've got an audition, because
It drives you crazy.
it drives you crazy, and it's not what's the word I'm looking for?
Productive?
It's not productive at all.
And you can't survive
Yeah.
if you do
Yeah.
that.
It's not
So
sustainable.
So there are probably plenty of people out there who have received emails from me and thousands of others
It's the
saying,
same.
hey, I'd really like to work with you, think I'd be good for this part. And there's no harm in doing that,
Sure.
because the worst that you're going to get is no response.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we all know what that feels like.
Yeah.
and I think,
We're definitely gonna come back to that.
I think that's a good lesson for young actors, is to learn that a no is a good thing sometimes, because then you know that this opportunity is not there and you can go on to the next opportunity. So the worst bit is going to an audition and then you're waiting for that callback and they just don't call you
It
back.
never comes,
And you're just like, what's going
Yeah,
on
that's
here?
one of the most difficult things I think actors have to face, is not hearing anything. But there is a big movement at the minute, the yes or no campaign, which a lot of casting directors and people are trying to work with, which is telling their actors if they've got the part or not. Which obviously is difficult if they're seeing hundreds of people, but for like mental health and well-being, it's so important, because I saw an interview with an actor recently who said they're still waiting for the call about a job they went for years ago. Because they never found out, and obviously they haven't got it, but in their mind there's no closure.
Yeah.
And that's so damaging. So I've had to learn to deal with, okay, if I don't hear after a week or two, I assume I haven't got that. I'm gutted about it, but you have to move on.
Yeah.
I think learning to go into auditions and not expecting to get the part is a thing as well. Like that is things that you get taught on later on in your career, and I feel like the things that you teach yourself is to go into an audition like an interview at work, not expecting it to be getting the job and then having that comfortableness of like walking out. But you only get that state if you're not reliant on the part. If you're an actor that gets an audition every 2 months, you know, you want that job because next 2 months it's going to be dry again, you know. And I think there's that mindset of understanding that is really hard if you have limited auditions to then not want to be so desperate about getting those parts.
And we've all been in that situation where you go into an audition or a meeting as a theatre company and you really want it, and there's nothing. And I can even still see myself doing it in my first couple of auditions. You're so desperate that it comes across. And there's nothing worse than looking like a puppy, like, I really... So it's just about grounding yourself and going in, knowing that you can play the part and showing them that, but as you say, not expecting to get the part, because then you're kind of... You're assuming something.
You're harming your audition because you're putting too much pressure on it.
Just go in, show who you are, be nice, be polite, be chat, be comfortable with the people, and just show them what you can do.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Before you got to auditions, let's go back in time a little bit and talk about how you started. So, you went to drama school.
Yeah.
Did you do anything before drama school? Did you do classes? Were you part of an acting group?
Yeah. So, I'm one of those annoying people who've always wanted to do it since they were little, and since I was a kid I was dancing and singing and all the rest of it, but I was. And then as I got into my teens, I did musical theatre with a really great group in Mansfield, and started watching loads of shows, and I did some stuff here at Derby Theatre. So I was kind of just doing whatever I could, auditions for young people to get involved, I'd do that kind of thing. And then I applied for drama school when I was 18, didn't get in the first year, was really young.
Never did we.
Yeah, no, I mean, but so many people don't. It takes people 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
It's just different person to person. So didn't get in the first year, took a year out, did a tour with a company that aren't going anymore, but they used to be, it was Uncontained Arts.
Okay.
So at the theatre, so did a tour with them, had a great time, did Robin Hood, like going around some schools, got some experience, and then after that summer, went to drama school. Went to LIPA in Liverpool, had an amazing 3 years, learnt so much, experienced highs and lows, it was great. And then graduated in 2016.
What I'd be interested in with you saying going to drama school is kind of like, because I've experienced, I work with a lot of people that went to drama school, and I kind of like have the idea of like a day, but if you could run us through like a, like a
typical day.
What is a week at drama school? Is it that, I've seen a TV program on it, and it is kind of like really dramatically built up. Yeah. But I know it's quite exhausting. It's very physically demanding, isn't it?
And those like dramatised versions, I can't watch because they're so cringy and they're not accurate at all. So, I mean, standard week in a drama school pupil's life is different depending on where you train, but for me it was like voice lessons like 3 times a week, movement lessons, so you'd have voice and movement all the time for 3 years, and that's working on your voice in every aspect, so like breath, projection, sustainability, like everything you can think of with the voice, and just getting it used to performing for long periods of time. Movement, again, the same but with your body, and sort of exploring how you can use your body to perform. And then alongside that we would have lessons in practitioner technique, so we'd learn, for example, we used to have lessons in Meisner, so that's a famous practitioner all about being in the moment, so we'd have lessons on that. We'd have context, where you have to learn about the historical context of playwrights and theatres and genres, which was really useful. And we had to write essays, so it wasn't all play. We had to actually write and study, so we were retaining things.
Because you get a degree at the end of it.
Yeah, and we did have to do a dissertation, so we did have to do that at the end.
That's a bit different than most drama schools I know.
Yeah, because our drama school was accredited by university, so we had to do a dissertation, which I actually really enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a nerd, I enjoyed writing it, but I know for a lot of people it was really hard. So we did that. What else did we do? Oh, obviously we did plays, so we did like full-length plays.
How many did you do in the 3 years?
First year we just did an internal play, so it was only for students and staff.
Yeah.
End of the second year is your first public performance, and then end of the third year you do
the agent one, don't you?
Yeah, you do a showcase.
Yeah.
And you do 2 public performances.
Okay. And were they big stage shows? Were they main stage shows, 1 hour, 2 hour shows, or?
Yeah. So we did Much Ado About Nothing, and we did 13 by Mike Bartlett, and both shows were directed by professionals in the industry that came in, amazing people, and designed by the students at LIPA. So they got to design a full set and actually see it in reality, because obviously they're doing their design course that you're collaborating on, which is really cool, because I don't know about other drama schools, but what I loved about the drama school I went to is that we learnt to respect people in different disciplines, so the technicians, the designers, the managers, the musicians, the dancers, they were all there.
Yeah.
And we learnt that you know, because it's so easy to get really self-centered in the industry and be like, acting is the only thing I know.
Yeah.
You have to have respect for other
Sure.
artists, because that's what it's all about. You know, since graduating, I've worked with these people, you know, technicians, stage managers, and I now know what they do instead of going, I have no idea what they do, I'm really ignorant.
Yeah, that's great. That's kind of what we did at university as well. We worked, the technical theatre students also helped us with our second year or third year performances.
There was a close bond, you could say, but it was more for the main shows that we did. There was, you know, you work with them for every week, every day nearly for like a 3 months period, and that's when the bond started really forming, and you saw their work on stage.
Exactly.
And then you saw their, you know, pride in what they did, and you kind of translated that into your performance. So that was.
I mean, we also had the advantage that we had that basis that we also did in the first year.
Yeah.
So when we did a module on technical theatre, we kind of learned a bit more around that.
And that's how you can notice how arrogant some actors are.
Yes.
Because, you know, most of the people that came into our course wanted to pursue a performing career, and they did not enjoy that class because it was very technical, and it was very about lights, it was about set. People turned up drunk from the last night out, or like sleeping and stuff like that.
But on that, so going on to the difference between your university course and my drama school course, for example, you guys are literally learning skill sets from other parts of theatre, and we're just focusing on acting, because I guess that's what I really wanted to do. For you guys, do you feel like you benefited as a theatre company from learning all those things?
Yeah, I think I went into university with a very closed mindset because
what did you want to do?
I wanted to become an actor, and I wanted to not necessarily chase fame or anything like that, but I wanted to pursue kind of like a more serious role in acting and do those hard-hitting subjects, you know, and deal with issues from from back in my country about racism. Nice. So that was kind of like the focus of my acting career. But coming to university and meeting these guys, I think a lot of things became a lot more clearer about that you as an actor or you as a performer don't have to pigeonhole yourself in that kind of sense. And then also not just learning these skills, but applying these skills, and then applying these skills on your own projects. You're like suddenly, I don't have to just pick up a play and do that. I can write my own play and then get my own actors and then do that. You know? Yeah,
I came with the same mentality. I want to be an actor, and then in first year it wasn't even part of a module, but I just wrote a play, and one of our actors said, if you've written anything, just bring it in, expecting like a little paragraph. I said, I wrote the whole play. Are you interested in reading it? And we read it in class, and everyone was like super supportive. I was like, well, maybe that's also something I'd like to do one day. And then obviously in second and third year, we did a writing module to write plays, but even without those modules, people are always really supportive and really pushing you to try everything. Then we learned about directing and doing our own shows. Now we're all directors, we're all directing each other, we're all directing ourselves. We all have a shared vision in a way that we got, even though for our university degrees we didn't personally direct any shows, but it was always encouraged, and you always were thinking about it, and you were always collaborating with those directors, going, if I was a director, I would do it like this.
It was very new wave in that sense that there was necessarily a hierarchy because theatre is very hierarchy still in the professional kind of standards, where you go to the bigger theatres and you have the director, you know, mostly not necessarily in England that much, but where in Germany it's quite it's a dictatorship still, and there's a lot of hierarchy that goes with it. And coming to university was very refreshing that the hierarchy was gotten away and it was more of a collaboration.
That's good, because I think I think in a lot of especially regional theatres that I've worked in across the UK is really collaborative. And that's what I really like about it. There isn't this person at the top with the closed door that no one can get into. I find that in a lot of theatres in the UK they're really open and they do want to talk to you. It's just they're so busy that you have to kind of find the time. Just going back to what you were saying about, because it sounds like you guys were in the right place. You went to uni and that was the right thing for you, and now you're doing really great and your theatre company's thriving. Do you think someone like me who knew they wanted to be an actor, that was all they want to do, and I do like to write and stuff and sing and stuff, but that was my main focus, do you think they would benefit from drama school over uni?
It's really hard because it's such a like situational and there was never a choice aspect of it. I went to RADA, I went to Lambda, and I went to Guildhall. I auditioned.
Right.
I got 3 very big and harsh no's, and as an 18-year-old, that was a perfect thing for me to happen because I fell off my horse and I kind of like rebuilt myself as an actor, as a person. And then I went to university and I went through clearing to get into Derby, you know. And the thing is that was never like I made a conscious choice to go to university. University was always just an option there to do.
Right.
And then I kind of ended up being in the right room at the right time.
Yeah.
So it's really hard telling an actor now or a younger person growing up saying, because we all grew up with the idea of we want to become actors.
Yeah.
So they don't know they want to direct as well, or they want to write as well, or they want to be part of this new movement. So it's really hard telling people that. And I've seen people who went to drama school and started theatre companies and broadened themselves like that.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's more to do with...
I think it's those extra opportunities is where the university course helps.
Yeah.
Because I think all of us, like you say, started out thinking, just want to be an actor, I want to do this, you know, I want to be on the Olivier stage by such and such a time, or, you know, I want to be getting BAFTAs by the age that I'm 30, yeah. whatever the goals were. But I think the university course, certainly the one that we went to, allowed us to have those opportunities to go, okay, actually I really enjoy writing and I want to learn a bit more about that, and then in second year, if I still enjoy that, I can move that on further. Or, you know, if I want to go to applied theatre, I can do this, or it gave you those further options.
I think it's up to you.
Yeah.
And if you're in love with theatre, if let's say, God forbid, you fall down and you break both your legs and you break both your arms, and let's say you say I don't want to act anymore, even though there are loads of opportunities to act regardless, but you say I don't want to do it anymore. If you're in love with theatre, you will find something else to do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you do university, it doesn't matter if you do drama school, it doesn't matter, it's being there and being involved, and the opportunity will arise.
Yeah.
So I think for some people drama school is better because it's very focused, and it's for a certain type of person that goes, no, this is what I want to do, and I'm 100% focused, and I write on my mirror in the morning, I'm gonna be the greatest actor ever. And every morning I look at that note, and that's how I continue.
It's
and
very
I have
dramatized.
And I have friends who do that, and that's their mantra. And like, I'm gonna go to LA, and I'm gonna be a Hollywood actor.
I didn't think that.
Yeah, but then again, the reason that you are the person that you are and the skill that you have got you into the drama school that supported that best. And I think there's a very wrong mindset nowadays, because England has the most drama schools like per capita or something like that. It's crazy. But these are all individualized. We talk about it as like a grand thing. RADA, compared to LIPA, is a very different institution, and they do things very differently.
Yeah, they do.
And they nurture people very differently. And people that, for instance, a friend of ours went to Birmingham to do his masters, and he wanted to do more classical. He wanted to do more those, you know, nosebleeder plays. Sorry,
sorry Angus.
Sorry Angus, love you. But you know, that's what his kind of focus was, and that was nurtured more. So I think like that should be opened up more.
That's why you audition. It's not only to go like, oh, they're a good actor or actress, we'll have them in our drama school. It's, do they fit our mold?
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing. And obviously, it's a different mold for university and a different mold for drama school. But I think, personally, for me, I didn't know there was the possibility of drama schools. When I came from Romania, they were like, we've got like 7 universities that have great drama schools. Pick one and go there.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. But I didn't even know that trying for a drama school was a possibility.
Do you think you would have?
I would have tried, definitely, because it's, especially at that age, it's the dream, it's the wow. It's the, you walk past RADA, you walk past
That's kind of an allure to it,
I remember auditioning, and I remember going round, you know, when you were young, and you know, as an aspiring actor, you're like, this is the place that's going to...
You can smell it, you know.
But having trained there, it just became an amazing place that made, you know, that gave me all the skills I need. And I looked on it as, because you can't have it up on this massive podium, because it has to be reachable for people. So I think drama schools should be accessible to all, and they are trying. I mean, I can only speak for LIPA. They are trying to do that more.
They are.
I know.
Apart from the money wise.
The fees are massively high in other places as well, particularly like some of the southern schools, which hopefully they're looking into. But
the
it has
university
to be.
accredited ones changing that. You know, they're kind of in the same bounds as university course, so they are.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
drama
But-
schools who are connected to universities have different ethical mindsets
Maybe.
than others. You know,
Maybe.
most of they have to be connected to a university anyways because they give it a degree.
Yeah, sure.
They can't, but you know, closer connections. Some of them have. You know, so yeah, you were saying sorry.
Yeah,
after.
no, but I was going to say, so there is a stigma. I have friends that did a university degree who are now actors, and they find that they can't get seen for auditions because they don't have that drama school training on their CV.
Yeah.
That, have you guys found there's an issue with that?
Not personally, because it's not the way I've auditioned so far. It's because we make our own work.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think in a way we are staying away from those types of auditions because of what you've just said, because of reasons like that. We have been contemplating doing a master's at one of these drama schools eventually, but the way I look at a master is when you're stuck in your career, you don't know how to continue, or you go, something needs to change in my
You
life.
need more skills.
I need more skills,
Sure.
or I need some help to progress.
Yeah.
That's when you go and you do a
Yeah, I
master's.
agree.
That's the way we look at it. That's why we started a company, because we wanted a chance to fail.
Yeah.
It's like let's see how
Yeah,
big this falls, how hard we're gonna fall on our face, and then we have that to fall back on if we want to.
Yeah, and we always acknowledge the fact that we have learned enough. And I'm not saying that we have learned everything, but we have, and I think in my mindset, we have learned enough to start.
Yeah, of course.
And I think that is something that a lot of young, and I find that word actor also a really hard one sometimes, because do you refer to somebody as an actor when they work professionally, when they get paid, or is it a person that, uses acting? It's a really hard one
that
sometimes.
is hard.
And, but we have learned enough as actors, as theatre makers, to start.
Yeah.
Until we get to a point where it's genuinely like I need to study with McBurney on an island for 5 years to learn how to do a handstand in that kind of way to put it into a play. Then
Simon McBurney from Complicity.
Yeah, the artistic director of the Complicity, one of my favourites. Then yes, I will do that to further my skills and then bring it back to the company. But I think also something that we tend to forget is that we have each other and we have this amazing community in Derby and around each other. And I think like as working actors, it can be quite isolating and it can be quite a lonely work as a freelancer.
Yeah.
Because you're getting all these no's, you're getting all those no answers, and there's nobody to like basically work with you in that kind of sense. So I mean that is a
definitely.
huge...
But if you've got a great artistic hub, it's
or
really
you can play somebody else. You don't get an audition. I'm playing Andy. It doesn't always have to be me.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's really important to have people around you that you can let off steam to and kind of debrief the audition with and talk to, because otherwise you're right, you are just a person getting a lot of rejection and not knowing how to process it. So you either need good friends and family around you, or, and this is why I think drama school and specific uni courses are so good, like-minded people. That's one thing that when I trained I was like, oh my gosh, there are people like me that are going to understand what I'm talking about. And I think that is like, you can't buy that.
Like you feel at home. And I think that's one thing with university that I've really noticed as I left school. There was 5 people that did drama at my school. I came to university and I'm in a class with people and I can have in-depth conversations about subjects, and I get challenged about my information. In 3rd year we did the director's course, and I was literally at the edge of my knowledge, and I learned something every day, and that was really like a moment of like, this is why I'm at university. And I think that grows you as an artist, definitely.
But also talking about auditions, when you're auditioning for a part and you don't get it, you go, oh, they didn't like how I looked, they didn't like how I spoke, they didn't like how I acted. When you audition as a company and you're trying to sell a project and you get a no, it can be, maybe I didn't write what they wanted to see on our application, or I didn't write this, or I didn't write that, or the play is too long. It's less personal. They don't like an idea that I've had. It's not like they don't like me. And so it's a lot easier to deal with that rejection. We found, obviously, a no answer is not easy for anyone in any medium. If your doctor emails you and says, hey, do you want to come for a checkup, and you don't answer him, it's not going to be easy for the doctor either.
And I think it's...
Great analogy, but still.
Yeah, amazing. I think it's really important for people starting out to try and separate that, because if you are believing that they're saying no to you because they don't like you, or they've got something against you, or you look a certain way. The truth is, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you, unless you ask for feedback and they give it to you. But the chances are it's not personal and you're just not right for that character.
Yeah.
And I still have to tell myself this every time. I still have to go, look, it's not because I wore those shoes. It's not because it's because I'm not right for that role.
Yeah.
And that is such a, like, the moment you realise that, it is like life altering as an actor. And I had that when I had an agent when I was quite young, 13, 14, and I went for a couple of parts, and all of them were no's. And at that time I didn't realise it was always me.
Yeah.
And then when I grew up and I became more mature with that, and I've realised I just don't fit the part.
Exactly.
And it's not me.
Yeah.
They're just not looking for me. And when you separate that, it is such life altering feeling as an actor, and I think that is what a lot of young actors have to be taught. You know, and I have to be taught at institutions like drama schools or universities. And I think sometimes what we lacked at universities were transferable skills into the professional life.
Yeah.
I would say the no's. Accepting the no was not very well taught.
But you know what? How much can you teach that unless you just go through it?
That's true.
Yeah.
You can prepare, but it feels so different when it happens.
Producing skills is not something we've learned at university. I've learned it by doing a course with China Plate.
Yeah.
That's how I've learned all of the producing skills.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing this.
How to do a podcast.
Yeah, this is self-taught. We didn't learn anything like this, even though it's quite. They try to teach us to do a self-tape, but for like 1 hour. They were like, make a self-tape and we'll give you feedback on it. It's
again, we dipped our feet into things, but never really got the full.
But that's all right, because if you're interested in something, you should go and pursue that further.
Yeah, there's a lot of
and that's what separates people, I'd say.
As long as the places, you know, where you train, listen to their students and respond by making the curriculum expand to include those things, I think it's really important. Because at LIPA they created a film and TV course because they saw that the demand from their graduates was more in film and TV, so they did that. We did self-tapes, we did, you know, camera work loads, and that I think is useful for them to adapt to what you actually need.
Yeah, that's crucial. And as we adapt, the universities adapt, the world adapts with us, and people need to change and the courses need to change. It's great that we're teaching Shakespeare, but it's time to start teaching Shakespeare in today's society and how we can transfer those stories. That's something crucial. No one really does classical Shakespeare anymore, or
even
the stuff that you see at RSC and things nowadays.
Exactly.
Well, it's got a modern. Sometimes has a modern take.
Yeah,
but
the acting is far more modern than it used to.
But one of my first jobs was a Shakespeare play, and it was
fully classical.
It wasn't fully classical, but you have to have a core understanding of the text still.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a massive Shakespeare nerd anyway, so I still think at drama schools particularly they need to teach how to speak the verse and like perform it properly and understand what you're saying. Because if we lose that,
we lose
the true sense. That's just what I
and
think.
The difference between verse and prose.
Yeah, exactly. Because
otherwise,
you go to, say, if you get cast in a Shakespeare job, sometimes and on a couple of occasions, the director has asked us to translate it into English, into a language that you understand, and people either know how to do that or they don't.
Yeah.
And there will be the actors who are really confident with that, and the ones that aren't, and they do struggle a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a great teacher for Shakespeare who, if we were doing monologues and it seemed like you weren't really getting the idea, he would go, "What does that word mean?
Exactly.
You just said that. What does that mean?"
Yeah.
I still think we need that, and we need.
Definitely.
To know the context of it, because we can't forget where it came from. But I agree, it is more captivating for today's audience to see it relating to them.
Everything we do is we're trying to bring young people into the theatre. That's the way we look at everything.
Yeah.
Let's step away from that a little bit and talk about the real fun stuff. Money.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we just have to.
I got none.
We have to just cut it off for now.
Had a little break, got some coffee in us, ready to talk about the most interesting stuff in the industry, money. Let's start with sustainability. So, drama school. How did you support yourself through drama school?
With a student loan.
Student loan.
A lot of my friends chose to work to get jobs, and that's really admirable. But there was no time for anything else. But some people managed to do it. I say there was no time. You find time if you want to, and if you need to, you do. And some people did. I didn't, because I was doing a lot of extracurricular stuff, and I just needed time to chill when I wasn't full on in class. But lots of people worked, and I've got to say some of them did find it really hard to do that. So that's the main way people work in bars or retail.
You got no free time, right? You go to class, you work.
Yeah, it's mainly just the weekend. But then we've rehearsed on a Saturday. If you're doing your own show, you find all the time that you can.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit insane, because when we were looking at doing a master's degree, they actually so the Central School of Acting, they actually say there's no time to work.
Yeah, there isn't really.
So
I don't think there is.
They ban it in a way. You won't be working while doing this. But then again, you have the Lambda course, the masters, in which everything ends on a Thursday. So all the classes only go until Thursday. So you have Thursday evening, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for people to work.
That's good.
So I think that's a very intelligent way of doing it, because people need to acknowledge that it's really difficult for some people to sustain themselves. And
it is, and the debt that you get yourself in is really high.
Yeah. Have you started paying back anything yet?
No.
Neither have we yet.
No, I haven't, and I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I don't even think about it. I don't even think about it, because if you think about the amount of debt you're in, it's just going to get you down.
Yeah.
So if I can pay it, amazing, I will. But at the minute,
Just win lottery.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be earning over a certain amount. Right?
Yeah, I think it's like 20 years.
It's 21 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get 10% over
But-
everything.
But especially for people in our industry, for example, we are not able to put on our own shows.
Oh.
If it's not for the Arts Council money, there's
Right.
no way of touring a show.
Yeah.
Even with Arts Council money, it's still really difficult. But
You're relying on taxpayer money.
you have to, first of all, you have to ask for money to create a show,
Yeah.
because that means taking time away from either your regular job or even your casual hours, to spend 2 hours, two weeks in a rehearsal room. None of us have that sort of money to take 2 weeks out of our lives and just be in a rehearsal room, which is what we kind of need to make a decent show. Not a great show that has 1,000 dance moves in it or choreography. No, just a decent show, 2 weeks at least. So you need to ask for money for that. You need to ask for money to create it, props, if you need someone to help you with that. If you need a sound designer, he needs to be paid. She needs to be paid. And then obviously you need to ask for money to tour.
Yeah.
So how is it being an actress with an agent, waiting? What sort of jobs do you do in between acting jobs and stuff?
Whenever anyone asks me, what do you do? I say, I'm an actor, and that also means I do lots of other stuff.
Yeah.
When I'm not acting, because you have to. There could be months of unemployment, and you're not just going to sit around doing nothing. The best thing to do is create, like you guys, create your own work. That would be ideal. But sometimes, if you don't enjoy writing, I mean, I love it, but if you're someone who doesn't enjoy writing, or struggles with writing, doesn't know where to start, then you're going to go to things like scratch nights, where you're going to collaborate with people for free sometimes, just to get your to learn how to write stuff. So creating is the best thing, but doesn't always pay until you get to performance level. So I also teach, and I also work on the box office at Derby Theatre, so and front of house, and that is what pays the bills, if you want, until an acting job comes in.
Yeah. I had this funny moment a couple of months ago where Andy broke my finger. Well, he threw a ball at me and I broke my finger, and we went to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine, it's all healed up. But we went to the hospital, to A&E, and I sat down, and the nurse asked me, what do you do? Lovely nurse, everything was amazing. She was like, what do you do? And I'm like, an artist director of a theatre company. I'm also a waiter.
Yeah, exactly. But it's that, it's that
and
cliche.
You just see her go, that one moment is like...
When you say actor, there's almost that extra question that's like, but what do you actually
I know,
do?
and it's
I'm not.
But the other thing that people they do seem to understand that it's really hard. Like even if I went for my haircut the other day, and the woman was like, "Oh, what do you do?" I was like, "I'm an actor," and she was like, "Oh gosh, it's so hard, isn't it?" And she's not even in the profession, and it's this thing that people seem to know it's hard, even if they don't know. And I think that's just because it's a competitive industry. There's loads of people that want to do it. It doesn't pay regularly unless you're working back to back, which if you're fortunate enough to, amazing, but not a lot of people are. So yeah, everyone seems to know, but I don't. I kind of resent like the sympathy that comes. It's like, oh, are you okay? And it's like, oh gosh, I love it. I wouldn't change what I do for the world. Like, please don't feel like you have to
pity me.
Well, kind of thing. And but most of the time, actually saying that is people go, oh, that's really cool. They're like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think there's a two-way thing with that. I think you need to realize what industry you're in and how saturated it is, and everybody wants to be an actor, singer, dancer, thing. And at the other hand, you need to realize what it means to be an adult, and these two things come hand in hand. So you need to see, and you need to look at, to be an adult, I need to pay taxes, I need to have lifestyle, I need to this, and to be an actor, I won't be paying. And I think when you make those two conscious decisions, and you're able to split yourself up in that sense of, I wait, I work as an ice cream man, and he does his box office as well, and Harry works as an escape room, and then I need to do these things, and I separate these things from my acting.
And you can't let your side work kind of overwhelm you. That's the thing. You have to keep the focus, and you have to be
say no to hours.
Say no to hours, to go to auditions, to meet companies, to go to see theatre. I know we work in theatre, but you have to make time to see what else is going on. And the amount of stuff I've turned down to do jobs socially, the amount of social stuff I haven't done because I've been offered a job is a lot. But to me, that makes so much sense.
Oh yeah.
You know,
and we take up more difficult jobs. For example, I have an acting job at the moment that's a lot more difficult than just working at Derby Theatre, and it's a lot of hard work to get to the job. It's a lot of hard work to get back home from the job. It's a very draining job, but it's acting. So even though the pay isn't better, the hours aren't better, but it's acting, so it doesn't matter. It trumps all the other hardships in a way.
That's a million times more satisfying.
Exactly.
There's this saying, if you love what you work, you won't work, and that kind of like mentality of it doesn't feel like work. Of course, there's still massive aspects of acting that feel like work. And a lot of what we do is not necessarily on stage. A lot of the background work, writing applications, doing a podcast, traveling,
that
doing a lot of
like work.
And it drains you, and then imagine on top of that you don't get paid, and on top of that you're losing money. On top of that you can't see your friends, and and all these other things. But if you focus on only that, there's no way of possibly doing that, because you need to hold on to those big opportunities, those big moments.
I think sometimes that cuts the wheat from the chaff when it comes to those that really want to get into acting or creative elements.
I think you should take good opportunities, but I also think it's really important to still value yourself and value your skill, and not do things that are going to put you in a worse position.
Sure.
So only do things that are going to you're going to get something out, as in you're going to learn something, or you're going to meet great people, or you're going to do a part you never thought you could. But I think in terms of working for companies that want you to go above and beyond and get ill and get not paid anything, I would avoid, because I have to still tell myself, no, you're worth something, and you can push on to.
And this was a conversation with last year's Departure Lounge, not this year, but last year. We were talking about kind of health and mental health actually being in part of contract when you're talking to creatives and artists, and thinking that has to be in there, because at the end of the day it is a very draining job. It's very intense, and the last thing you want is someone that's pushing you above and beyond, and then it breaks you as a person. And there's no kind of support there.
That's true. But on the other hand, you work with kids as well, with children. I work with children. There's nothing cooler than when a kid asks you, oh, what do you do for it? And you go like, well, I get to make shows with my friends and I get paid for it. I go, wow, that's amazing. That's the best job ever. And it's like, yeah,
and
it kind of is when you get to do it.
I wish adults would have that same mentality.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that didn't feel supported by their friends or family that said, oh, I really want to be an actor, and were kind of told they shouldn't.
Of course. Well, in Romania, that mentality is still alive and kicking, and I was very fortunate to have great parents that always supported me. But the idea is, oh, you want to be an actor, an actress. Actor, you're gonna starve to death. Actress, prostitute.
Really?
That's the mentality.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So,
and that still exists?
That still exists, yeah. So, oh, you're an actress, you're a loose woman.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because
looking at Muslim communities, where I come from, it's all about what does a man do. And there's been moments, of a family gathering and wider family where my father, got quite fed up and said, this is what he does. He's good at it and he's going to do it. And there was no kind of like discussion about me, because people were like coming to my father and like, oh, you let him be an actor? Is that the right choice and stuff like that? He's a man and stuff like that. And he's like, no, we live in the 21st century. This is not the way my son should define himself as. He has the right to choose. And I think that's something that we consciously have to look in as well. And when we look at the diversity of theatre, sometimes it's not necessarily that it's the fault of those institutions. It comes to the fault of those communities not allowing.
And how do we, what do we do about that? Because it's so upsetting to hear that.
But
and it's hard it's easy to feel really helpless. Like
it's one of the things that we're talking about in our first podcast, in this theatre dead, and should theatre die in the current state of it? Maybe it should. Maybe it's too old, and maybe we should put it to rest and then have it be reborn again, because as it stands at the moment, it is especially difficult not to do a woe is us, but it is especially difficult, and we're a very vulnerable society as performers. That's why we have so many things like equity and what's the one for technical theatre?
I know this.
Back to. We have amazing communities and people helping us and supporting each other, because we are extremely vulnerable. Because you turn up to an audition, and look at what's happening in Hollywood. Look at the Harvey Weinstein thing of the overpowering, especially of women in that position.
And we're acting like that is new.
Yeah,
like this has been happening for the last.
Yeah, it's really upsetting, and I think it's shocked quite a lot of people that aren't in the industry. So you're saying it's not surprising because it's been going on for so long, but people that had no idea, who don't work in the industry, I think it was a real eye-opener for them. And at least it was a chance for a big movement to grow.
Yeah.
And to say, this should and is never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And I think
it's insane.
That kind of upward trajectory is where we should be heading.
Yeah. And that's all the way on the bad side. That's the worst thing that could happen. Someone takes advantage of you. They go, oh, if you want to party, if you want to be famous,
exactly,
this is what you have to do. You have to sleep with
I
someone.
mean. People, actors need to remember to value themselves and never do anything that makes them feel uncomfortable or exposed because they think they need that job.
That's true, but that's the worst part.
Yeah, sure.
Let's take it back and just in our circles, if you're a doctor, you are valued for your skills, for your amount of training, for how long you spend training, from how many lives you've saved. If you're a performer, you're valued socially as well. Not just your craft, but how much do people like you? So one of the things that we were told when we're thinking, oh, how can we get to venues? How can we get our shows into venues? What were we told, Fatih? We were told... We were told you have to go and interact socially with programmers and other people, get them to like you and be your friends, because people are more likely to put on shows from people they like or their friends rather than new people. And for me, that's one of the most disgusting things possible, because I should have the opportunity to be a piece of shit, and I should have the opportunity to be the worst person I want to be without hurting anyone else. I would like to be an insufferable person and still have my shows put on if the theater is good.
Yeah, and
It
that's
should
what,
be the merit of the art. Not
That-
Yeah,
that-
but I
that-
think
that's
I
the
don't
thing.
think
Why
you
do I have to be a nice person to have my shows put on?
Well, I've
it's
got
a
to
joke,
say,
but still.
yeah. But to counter that, being a nice person in this industry does get you a long way because people want to work with nice people.
yeah.
Sure.
That's the thing.
Sure.
But there's
I
a difference
don't-
between that kind of like professional nature of being good
Yeah,
to work with
yeah.
and the I see you every
Yeah.
other Saturday.
Yeah,
you go to the
I
same
think
shows.
elitism is bad,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it should never be programmed because they know you. But being
A good person to work
a
with.
good person to work with.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, we're not saying that. I think what I got surprised at is like when I was talking to when I was trained how to approach venues, and that's a whole other shenanigans of venue finding and then approaching them, which is again it's such a system implemented in theatre to make it elitist. This system only exists to be elitist, and I have a couple of arguments. So if there would be boards and there will be multiple people choosing plays, and there will be a proper auditioning process and a more accessible process to that, then it wouldn't be elitist. But that you have to dig out somebody's email, and then somebody's email from a theatre or a venue, then approach that person, ask that person for coffee, get friends with them, and then approach your idea. That is way too much. I feel like I have to do for my artistic piece that has nothing to do with me as a person to be put on.
Right.
And it's still very much, we can say it doesn't exist, but what I've been told and what I've been taught and what I've been working with industry professionals, this is very much still a thing existing. That's why those parties exist. I've been invited to a party where they shoved a couple of beers in my hand and a couple of venues, and I was terrified. I was like, what do you want me to do here? Do you want me to just walk up to this person and be like, take my show and go on my knees for them? No, and I felt terrible. It's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that is a big issue. And you have institutions like the Royal Court and the Royal Exchange in Manchester, which have boards, which have proper institutions where you email them and they have an auditioning process. You send your play there, you go there, you talk with them, and it's accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
But they have the money and the time to do that as well. That is another argument. But I think this is what theatre should head more into, the kind of like the way bands do it. When they email a venue with their stuff, and it's much easier to get in contact than with theatres.
Yeah, it's like going to an audition and one of the other actresses there goes and hugs the casting director and goes, "How have you been? How are the kids?"
Yeah.
It might not
It's
matter.
always going to happen though, because the industry is so small that people know each other. But the argument of whether it should happen is it is an advantage.
Yeah,
It's
It
an
is.
advantage.
It is, and that's what we're saying. We're not saying let's all be bad people, but what I'm saying is I should have the right to not have to go out for a
And be
drink
pally
with people
pally,
and be pally if the shows are good.
Is it if it's good? If
You
the
know,
show,
that should matter, because the audience doesn't see that friendship and
Yeah.
they don't care about it. They just want to see a good show, and
It's-
why am I giving you my £5 instead of giving it to
Yeah.
someone else or seeing the new Marvel film?
It's getting people to see shows, isn't it? It's getting people, audience, but also people of influence to see them, like people that are going to program the shows. That there are some great people who try and see loads of stuff, and people that go to the Fringe, and people that go and see scratch nights and stuff like that. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's our biggest goal as a company, is to get new people into the theatre. People that don't think theatre is for them. We want to go, no, just watch one show and then decide.
Yeah.
Don't say theatre is not for me when you haven't even seen a show.
Yeah.
But it's a harsh environment, and it's a scary environment to come into, and it's not an approachable thing. That's why we have to try and make it as approachable as possible. That's why we are a vulnerable people as performers. So, and we will be until things start changing at their core. Things have to start changing in the industry.
The dinosaurs have to die.
That's the big issue. That's
So to kind of pull us back to topic, do you reckon
Sure.
that university maybe supports you a bit better with that, or drama school coming out into that world?
Well, I have to say, I honestly believe there's no predicting anything. I know people that have graduated and gone on to great things, people that have graduated and gone on to nothing, people that have an agent and are constantly in work, people that have an agent and are out of work.
Yeah.
people that write to people and get work, people that write to people and don't get work. It's just there's so many tangents, and I just feel like you almost can't predict anything. All you can do is do you and like work your ass off and keep going and be positive
and enjoy the process
and enjoy it.
Yeah, because I want to come back to this. We've been really dark and we've been, but I love my job, from my heart, like being able to make theatre with these guys, having people call me smoking guns when I walk in a room. Gotten to that level of a year. I love it.
And isn't that a
lights
good
up
thing
my
to be able to
life.
say?
Yeah.
Rather than I hate my job.
So many of my friends I work in business and I don't like it. And I'm like, I hate certain aspects of my industry, but all in all, I get to do what I love.
Yeah.
And
that is worth it. That is worth it.
It is. That's why one of the things that I've said to young artists coming in or just who are in university now, I said to them, if there's anything else that you can do and be happy with yourself, then go do that.
We got told the same thing.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
We got
not
told
worth
the same
it
thing in school.
unless this is your life.
Yeah.
That only then you should try to become a performer. I'd say.
Do everything else apart from theatre, because if it is what sustains you, then. Because did you ever make a choice? I want to be an actor. I feel like never in my life did I make a choice where I was like, okay, I'm going to do. That was always like.
That was always what I wanted to do, but there was a moment where I was about 17 and I was like, right, I need to take this seriously and I need to go and I need to change sixth form so I can do performing arts, and then I need to go to drama school, and that's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was really.
But a lot of actors I talk to, sometimes it's just something they're, I don't like, born with.
Yeah, because
born with.
look at some of the best actors that we see today. They didn't train.
Yeah.
And they have this natural gift that, lucky for them, has been spotted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my father used to say this as well too. Like when I was younger, he would call me the little actor in the family. When I was the youngest, of course, psychology. I'm the performer. I was trying to make everybody laugh to get attention, that kind of sense. But I was always from a very young age focused on performing and doing these kind of things. And I think that we were all born with that kind of mentality of doing that, and there was never a choice aspect. But I think there's still a choice aspect to where we are right now. And I feel like I've met people like me who have chosen family or other things in their careers to pursue instead of this,
And we're only in our first year after university, going into our second year. We've got our whole lives ahead of us. Who knows if we're gonna stop, if we're gonna change what we're doing. At the moment, the thing that we do most of is teach theatre to children, because it's an easier venue and it's an easier source of money while doing theatre. Is it what we set up to do? No, but it's a pathway towards what we want to achieve.
But that's important, and I'm in my second year out now, and I've learnt so much being out there. I've been fortunate enough to work quite a bit and meet amazing people and have the best time, but I've also learned to do what makes me happy outside of acting, so that acting isn't the only thing. Like, if I'm not acting, I'm worthless and I've got nothing else in my life. No, it's just not a healthy mentality. So I have to do hobbies that are going to make me happy. So I picked up the violin, I go running, I write my own stuff, and I volunteer, I do teach.
You're
stuff that's going to
Annabelle,
fill my time.
and then you're an actor as well. And I feel like a lot of young people, and that's what I needed to learn as well, as I'm 30 and I'm an actor. And I think that's a healthy thing, because you can't live as you act yourself.
Well, you just can't live in the fear that you're never going to work again.
Sure.
Because it's just not a great mentality.
You said something really interesting. You said you've picked up the violin. That brings us to something I was going to ask you about, something that comes out of drama schools a lot more than universities, if at all from universities. What's your opinion on actor musicians, and would you consider yourself an actor musician?
So I wouldn't consider myself one, because I'm not good enough at all. Actor musicians are normally people that have been on an actor musician degree. So they've studied for 3 years with their instrument, doing shows that incorporate instruments. I mean, some of the most amazing, I have seen some genuinely amazing shows from those schools, and they now work in the industry predominantly with their instruments, but also without. And the way I see it is, no pun intended, it's another string to their bow, and they can do both.
Yeah.
So what I think it's great. I think a lot of people envy it because, you know, there's this thing. Oh, they seem to get more work, but
It's
I mean,
proper skill as
they've
well.
trained,
Yeah.
so let them. You know, that's good for them.
I feel like, as well as an actor, you are required to be a person that has a lot of skills apart from just acting.
Yeah.
And I feel like over the last year or two, I've picked up so many little skills. You know, I'm working with cameras a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm an obsessive person in my personality. You know, I think most of us are like that. So I picked up cameras. Now I know, like, every camera that's good for podcasting, what to do and stuff like that. You know, I picked up a little bit of sound design and kind of like, and I feel like as an actor, you're kind of required to be an apprentice at a lot of little skills because you will have to portray people who are, a lot of actors who are in Game of Thrones need to know how to horse ride or sword fight or like, these kind of things, these kind of
You
skills.
never stop adding to your toolkit.
But on that, I would never suggest like getting lessons in everything because you think you might horse ride. Like, because I did get a call once from my agent and they were like, Annabelle, can you horse ride? And I was like, I can't. And I'm not going to lie, I can't. And that was me going, oh, I've missed out on a potential opportunity. But I've never been asked if I can horse ride since. So I would never go, why would I go out and get lessons?
It's a lot of fun.
Great, and I'd love to do it for fun. That's why I think you should pick something up that you enjoy. Like violin, I'm doing because I enjoy. Hopefully in the future I can use it in my job. But I don't think there's any point in like going scuba diving and horse riding and sword fighting and skiing because you think they might be useful.
Yeah.
Do it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
That's a great mentality. And
if
I think that's great advice for young people as well trying to come into the industry. Do things because you love them, and if it happens to work with a part, great. If not,
or if it's a part that require you to do that, then obviously do it. But have a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's a big part, obviously, if it's just like a 1 day shoot, maybe.
I
meet
what's
way up.
I meet a lot of film actors who are doing comedy reels, series reels, and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, I hate comedy. I'm not good at it. I have no time. Why you just spend £200 to do a comedy reel then? Like,
because you think you might need it.
Or get a role in a comedy film, and you said yourself you're not good at it. Do you think you're going to compete against all these people who know they're good at it?
Nurture what you're good at.
Yeah,
it's probably good at something else.
Yeah, I think that mentality is always quite interesting with me. Yeah.
Great. Does that feel like a good place to leave it? We've reached an hour.
Yeah.
Unless
hopefully
anyone,
that's been useful.
Yeah.
It's been great. Anyone else have any questions for Annabelle while she's here?
No, just thanking you. It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you guys.
We'd love to have you again.
Yeah.
If
you had a
free,
joke at the beginning that you wanted to tell, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's about next week's episode.
Next week's episode.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for being with us through episode 3. We apologize for the tangents. We apologize for going a bit dark. It's who we are, and it's going to happen again and again and again. Thank you very much for being with us. And what was next week's podcast about, Annabelle?
So next week we're going to learn how grapes wine.
Great. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Smoking Us podcast. Bye bye.